Yo, 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 what up, what up, what up? We are back with another Monday with Artist Pro. What up, Oliver Blue in the chat saying he's feeling sick today, so it's a chill Monday stream. Yeah, it might be a chill Monday stream for me too, dude. I was running all over LA last week and into the weekend with weddings and events and whatnot. So I am severely behind. I got some drum tracks to edit. I got some content to work on for the sample library I'm working on. I got client work to catch up on. Anything else here? What does my calendar tell me to do? I live and die by this calendar. I got another video I got to finish editing. I just got pretty much hired to do some work for music licensing for an audio network company. So I got to look into the deal structure before I commit to making any music, of course. And maybe I'll discuss that process a bit more as I'm going through it, and maybe give you guys a little insight as to my thought process there. But indeed, yeah, dude, look, this is a weekly stream we're all busy people, so those who do come through, Oliver Blue, I guess I'm looking at you, the camera lens, but the usual heads, even if they're not here, Shenanigans, The Impulse, Alurum, Giovanni, the usual heads, we appreciate you. Chris Kane, when he can come through here. But this is indeed another episode of Artist Pro. I did want to give you guys some programming notes. I know it's ways off, but in July, I'll be pretty much gone out of the country for half that month into August. So do expect a lull in programming there. In terms of the meetup we discussed, we're still ironing out details with a few heads, a few different venues to see what we can put together. I'm actually going to a meetup of my own on Friday with another friend of mine who's got an artist collective of sorts. So maybe I'll report back with some good news from that, and maybe a collaboration can ensue from that too. But those are the primary programming notes. I did also wanted to go through some material today, but given the relative chill nature of today's show, we may hold off to another time. I did want to show you guys a couple of things though, in terms of what I really think a good example of depth is. We kind of talk a lot about depth here on the stream, right? Of coming from more than a place of music, more than a place of pure entertainment, which is challenging because it is the audio that draws us in, right? We feel good creating the audio. But I did want to give you guys an example of I'll just leave it as an artist who began in audio and has since found great fortune in terms of creative expression in a whole new medium, a visual medium. He also happens to be a friend of mine. So I think the primary little thing here I want to show on the stream today is going to be right now. This is a buddy of mine. Let me just do a quick screen share. If it turns on. Oh. Include me here. All right. Let me get rid of me. I don't want to get rid of me. Here we go. So this is a Instagram page belonging to a buddy of mine named Jesse. And Jesse and I met back at Icon Collective, actually, a long time ago. And he went from being a composer artist to taking on a whole new perspective of visual. And it's kind of cool. If you go back on his Instagram, you can kind of see the early blueprints of his development here. And you can kind of see he always had an eye for the visual. And it wasn't until he launched his first NFT that things really took a charge for him. He's always kind of experimenting in 3D visual technology rooted in science and physics and discussing the cosmos and whatnot. And as you can see here, he's blossomed greatly. He just finished a deal with Dior, actually, where his visual display is pretty much everywhere now. Check it out. I mean, that's incredible. He's all about complete immersion. So now his art is displayed at different Dior stores all over the world. But the depth I wanted to show you guys, he did a video displaying, or I guess kind of articulating what went into it. And actually, I just had dinner with him last week with another buddy of mine, Valente. And I kind of asked him, like, since your art is so layered, there's so many pieces to it. Does it bother you that someone might look at your art and be like, "Oh, cool colors," but kind of completely missing the depth that he went into? And he said, "No, it's up to them to discover on their own, or if you only go as far as your curiosity drives you." But I thought this video he made here summed up the whole idea very, very well.
On the Nature of Light is an audiovisual art piece that uses AI, computation, environmental design, and music composition. The purpose of this piece is to demonstrate and show how your physiology functions when it comes to your interpretation of color and how I can communicate that through visual arts as well as music. The impetus of this was when I was studying Descartes' philosophy on dualism and how there's a difference between the physicality of our world and then also our consciousness or mental world. And this dynamic inspired me to think deeply into how do we perceive the physicality of our environments separate from actually what might be happening in those environments. And that led me into looking at how we see the visible light spectrum and how we see these specific wavelengths that associate to colors across that spectrum. On the visual side, what you're seeing this transformation through 3 different biomes. With each biome, you have a central sculpture that is in the middle and is the central focus. That central AI and computational sculpture distills down and simplifies all of these dynamic colors into a simple palette so we can understand how these environments inform our understanding of color. So with the music composition, I wanted to create a one-to-one representation of the visual material. And what I did was I converted the visible light spectrum and the specific wavelengths of color to the audible frequency spectrum using mathematics. So as the score progresses, it matches the central sculpture in the middle of these biomes. So when you see the color palette and how it stacks up, I also represent that same stack using the pitches that represent those exact colors. So you get this clear thread that goes from what we see in nature and how we perceive these environments and these colors to something that is simplified, direct, and distills down the complex variations of colors into an art piece. On the Nature of Light is my first ever Genesis one-of-one NFT art piece, which is a culmination of more than a decade of my talents all coming together to a singular point. This piece is a promise, a sophisticated journey of art based on science and technology, which is a revolutionary way to interpret color.
And I think the reason why I'm really kind of pointing this Jesse out specifically to you guys is I think he's a good example of someone who wasn't afraid to evolve. Like, I mean, we all kind of know music brings us in, and it's kind of what we aspire to do in a number of different ways. But I mean, imagine, first of all, Jesse clearly has all those things on his mind that he likes to explore personally. Imagine trying to do all of that with music, just music. It would kind of defeat the purpose for pure expression because he has so much more to say than that. And it's kind of taking him on a ride. And music is always going to be part of what he does, but it's just another level. And he's since done installations at Art Basel. Here's something in downtown LA with Bank Tower. Yeah, to say Jesse's killing it's kind of an understatement at this point. But I show him to you guys to demonstrate the evolution of the artist. It's something that I feel, I mean, I'm inspired by, and I'm very happy to say he's a friend of mine only because it's so great to see your friends not necessarily winning. I don't want to say like winning, like, oh yeah, they're getting big per se, but like their journeys are completing, their journeys are continuing into places that they find very rewarding. Obviously, it's great to continue to grow your influence, but it's a different kind of satisfaction, especially if you know these people personally, and you can kind of see how their journeys have continued and where they've come from. But I don't know. To me, the inspiration here for me is this continued digging that he's done. and he never rested on his laurels, and he continued to embrace new technologies, which is another thing to kind of point out there, and to learn new skills. It's even like now, like as I've gotten more into like video editing and composition stuff like that, I'm trying to find ways to go beyond music myself. And maybe that's kind of why, if you guys remember, it was 2 weeks ago, I was discussing like I don't really know kind of where to go from here on the music side, and I'm experiencing this kind of lack of inspiration in some ways, and primarily out of boredom. Maybe it's because like I did the audio thing for a period of time and I got some success with it, and I can continue doing that, but I don't have any restrictions. I don't have a label that's breathing down my neck, saying I need 3 more albums from you. I have some, licensing projects that's not necessarily breathing down my neck, but it's a nice motive. Like money is a good motivator in some cases too. But from a pure, artistic standpoint, I don't know. This is a blessing and curse for me personally. Maybe you guys can resonate with this. Is I have a very much a completionist mentality. I feel like if I've done something, I don't want to just keep doing it to death. Like I'm always kind of asking, great, now what? What else? Maybe that's the ADD in me, or maybe that's the dopamine chase in me. I don't quite know what it is. Even when I was performing live as Rizik, when I thought I just wanted to be just a piano player, I remember I had a few piano gigs and I was playing piano and people seemed to dig it. But dude, I got bored quick. I was actually shocked of like, I cannot believe I'm this bored right now. And it was fun at the time, but I knew, you're not on the right track when you're doing something, and every time you do it, you're getting more and more bored, despite the fact that people seem to keep digging it. I don't know. I feel like I don't have to keep myself in that kind of cycle. So why do it? So Jesse is also a form of inspiration for me, so that I can find more and maybe more deeper ways of expressing myself, not necessarily limited to audio, especially as one of the core pillars, of being an artist pro, I've always thought is being multifaceted and having, multiple skill sets, including different ways to express yourself creatively. So I use Jesse as the example. If you want to follow him, he's just at Jesse Woolston. In fact, let me just do the quick screen share again. If you don't already follow him, uh, do, 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 go check his stuff out here. Why is it so slow today? There we go. So there it is. Jesse Woolston. He's LA based. Keep up with him. He's got some really cool stuff coming out. All right. I see the Impulse here has a comment. If I can get myself back on the screen. Yeah, this restream was going really slow today. Actually, he says, ooh, let me pull it up. He says, I have the opposite, kinda. I don't know how to finish projects usually. Dude, I think we can all relate to that. But tell me more, actually, Ruslan. Do you experience this like very regularly? Do you begin something and abandon it at a certain point when you are also bored from it? I mean, the crux of my whole thing is boredom. And that's just a theme of my life. Hence why I do so many different things, is I get bored pretty quickly. Again, blessing and curse. But why do you find yourself stopping projects? Do you run out of steam creatively? I mean, that happens a lot to me anyway. I'm curious if you have more insight you can share as to what happens. Here we go. He says, I got diagnosed with ADHD last year, but most likely had it my whole life. Well, that'll do it too. But yeah, I think generally speaking, a lot of us experience this. And it's nothing to be concerned about per se, but I do think there's something about working through the problem. I think we talked about last week. It was the Rick Rubin book. Actually, I talked about the puzzle piece. How sometimes if you just have, if you're going through a puzzle and you just put a random block and you're like, what the hell is this block? I mean, where does you have no context for it, but maybe like going to another section of the song and finding more contextual elements to kind of fill in the gaps a little bit. That might be something too. He says here, let me pull it up. And I apparently developed maladaptive coping habits to, quote, survive my brain all of these years. Dude, I need more information on that. James Shen, what up? He says, I think I have ADHD too. I think this whole social media era has absolutely bred a new generation of people who may have, varying degrees of attention deficit. Let's see what he says here. Restream, you are so slow today. I definitely spend more time focusing intent and purpose of my projects to overcome that. I noticed that, by the way. I noticed that when you submit your music, Ruslan, you always have some kind of story or a narrative or something to prep me. in my submission, which by the way, we are open for submissions. If you guys want to use the QR code or you want to go to theartistpro.com and submit your music there, you can do it now. But I noticed every time I open up my Typeform feed, there's always something there. There's always something big there. In fact, I have it in front of me here. Uh, I have the impulses. I was sitting around humming one day and suddenly reimagined the song's lyrics of a melodic and sorrowful tune. It came at a difficult time with the past relationship, so there was plenty of fuel to dive into where the idea could go. And in fact, I can always just see I'll go another one here. The album uses the concept of extraterrestrial visiting, which, I need to see more of this. Conquering and reshaping our society, and this track explores the final thoughts of this visitor and also the people and ruined world it's leaving behind. It is the death throes of a dying middle class, of forgotten generations, and of those malaffected by unmitigated hubris and greed. Which, again, right there, Ruslan, I'm looking at, like, just hearing this. This sounds like a treatment waiting to happen, like a video treatment of some kind waiting to happen. I'm almost looking at you like that's quite the challenge to get across all these concepts through pure audio. Something to think about. Saizon, what up, dude? Good to see you. Again, these submissions are open. Another thing I wanted to show you guys on this relative chill stream, if you're just joining us, what up? We have a relatively chill stream today. I got a lot of stuff to get to, but I did want to show you guys another example of depth, or at least in the form of a case study. So I remember, I think I may have shared this at Icon a number of years back, but let me go ahead and pull it up over here. So as you guys know, I continue to work with Tom Hokenborg, also known as Junkie Excel. And one thing we wanted to do when promoting the film Tomb Raider is do a fun little content campaign that kind of played with the fans' emotions a little bit and changed some things up. So Tom normally releases a studio time episode on his films where he kind of dives deep on how the films were scored, and people were really expecting the same thing here, right? So I decided to do something different with his YouTube channel. And instead of simply releasing the audio from the film, we thought, what better way could we do something than, we wanted to make a game based on a game, right? If the film is based on a game, we should do a game ourselves. So we teased it, saying 1 week until the Tomb Raider score is released, along with something else. And we basically drew some breadcrumbs to the campaign. So hopefully the audio works on this.
Hey, this is Tom, Junkie XL, and you're watching Studio Time with Junkie XL. And this is a Studio Time special surrounding Tomb Raider. The movie is about to come out. We're going to take 4 cues and I'm going to take you through it. How to write for this movie full of fun and full of action. We're going to talk orchestration, mixing, writing, everything you need to know about film scoring. And it starts Friday, so I hope to see you Friday.
All right, pretty run-of-the-mill stuff. And of course, we continued the teasing. And then when everyone expected the episode to come out, we kind of swerved them a little bit.
Today it's Friday. And I know what you're thinking. Friday is studio time. But you can't find it. Well, I have no idea where it is. It probably got lost somewhere in the tubes. But I have a solution for you. If you go to tombRaider.junkieXL.com, there's potentially a way to find it. So go there and find it.
So fans were like, what the hell? It's gone missing. What is that supposed to mean? So we made a little mini game for it. And I can pull it up on a separate tab. But basically, we took cues from the film and we made our own little language here where people had to unlock various tombs. And once you did unlock a tomb, you would eventually unlock each part of the soundtrack. So instead of just simply, here's the track, we had you go through a little effort to it. And then once you did that, the actual track was revealed. And the whole purpose of this was once you do actually unlock all the tombs, you unlock the actual episode of studio time that goes into we did many episodes that for this particular film, but it was just one more way to deeply engage the fans. So they had to get more invested in the film itself, which of course the studio appreciated. And then find ways to unlock the tombs, which eventually would unlock the actual studio time. So people seem to dig it. Fans dug it. This is just more testimonials from the audience. Good user traffic all the way through. And yeah, that's basically a quick little campaign I wanted to show you guys. In fact, while we're here, I think I can put it on here. It was studio time dot what was it again? .junkexcel.com. In fact, wait, I have a little hyperlink to it right over here. I'll pull up right there. So this is what it looked like. And it's been a while, and I don't think for some reason the audio isn't working. There was like a track that would play. So you click get started. Obviously, I know the answers to all these.
Hey, what are you doing here? Oh, wait a second. You must have unlocked the tomb. That's it. You did that. Okay, so while you're here, you might as well listen to this track, which is called Return to Croft Manor. And it's the cue where Lara goes back to the Croft Manor to look for stuff. I hope you like it.
How eloquent, Tom. Yeah, you can listen to the track and then you continue raiding. And once you open up all the tombs, there's the song. There's the music now. You can hear it. But yeah, it was basically just a little mini page for us to get audiences more invested into the actual track. Now, I'm not expecting all of you guys to make your own microsites per se. But it is something to kind of keep in mind is that the contextual presentation. I think the big story really here is like if you, I mean, this it's kind of like a running gag now. Like if so many artists just drop music and expect all of us to be as excited about it as they are. But I think at the very least, you guys, from a psychological perspective, if you demonstrate some thought into the presentation of the marketing, that does have an effect on people's perception of what they're receiving. So in other words, if we see that you really care, we might really care. So it's just one element to kind of showcase that presentation sometimes is half the battle of propping up your work, to the point where you find it worthy. Otherwise, if you think about it, just to kind of say a track is out now with some basic cover art, it's almost like the effort you display to me might demonstrate the effort you put into the music. So this is mediocre promotion, therefore the music itself might be mediocre. Not to say those are always directly connected, but it does definitely have a something to do with it. You guys are into this Tomb Raider thing, huh? So what is it? Size on here. I've seen these alternate reality games released with albums. Really great to engage with fans. Yes, indeed. I can't talk about something I'm working on right now, actually, with Tom, but there's a whole other element of that component too, Jeff, about that. I can't even say it. I've already spoken too much. But there's, maybe in December or January, I can discuss that more onto that. But it's totally true. And in fact, I think I saw an article the other day about the rise of video game soundtracks specifically, and how more artists are breaking as a result of that. And it's just, again, another thing to keep in mind here. So let's see if anyone submitted any tunes today. Shenanigans, of course, has got something for us. Let's pull up Shenanigans. Again, if you guys want to submit some music, there's the QR code right there. Or you can always go to theartistpro.com and drop some stuff there. You can also drop a question. Don't forget, you can always submit questions there. You can always submit questions here, by the way, too. And you got anything that's on your guys' mind is fair game today. So go ahead and send any questions you have as related to anything over in the chat. We can absolutely get to that. But for now, let's go ahead and get some shenanigans going over here. Oh my God, SoundCloud, chill out. In fact, I think I have some news on SoundCloud that'll pull up over here. So let me go ahead and share the screen, get some shenanigans. The track is called Splice and Dice. I love your lovin'.
falling for me, falling for us, babe. I love the way you love. I love the way you get. Late night up in my bed, saying, thinking that this is love. Falling for me, falling for us, babe. I love your love. I love your love. I love your love. I love the way you get. You always jump right in, saying, thinking that this is love. Falling for me, falling for us, babe. I love the way you love. I love the way you get. Late night up in my bed, saying, thinking that this is love. Falling for me, falling for us, babe. I love your love. I love your love. I love your love. I love your love.
Okay. I have thoughts. I have thoughts. I have thoughts. So it's so funny that I want to read his comment here. Actually, let me just get rid of the screen share. Goodbye. 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 Yeah. It says many people on Submit Hub had negative comments saying this vocal is way overused. If you missed it in the chat, he mentioned that he got this off Splice. He got the vocal loop off Splice. Almost trashed this track. Vintage Culture released a version 3 years ago. So there is something to be said about that. So the actual the music, the part that you did, James, is quite good. In fact, I just turned off the stream, but there's so many subtle things, dude, that you do. It's funny, by the way, for full reference and context. James and I we had a little one-on-one discussion last week, and he gave me more of a bit about his background in the overall club music scene, dance music scene. His experience in it. And now that I know that, by the way, it makes so much sense that so many intuitive, instinctual decisions that you make. They do reek of someone who's done this for a while. I mean, there's one moment here. I'm pretty sure it's here after the drop. So if you're listening in headphones like I am, or listening in your monitors, there's I think it's a ride. Is that an 808 ride symbol that's very subtle in here? It sounds like it's a ride symbol with maybe like the tail also reverb on the left side, something like that. But listen for this very light 808 reverb or a 808 ride symbol. All right, it's there. Did his job on the drop. And you cut it out right there and bring back that little melody again. That's like a seasoned decision. I feel like you reintroduced the drop. The ride did not overstay its welcome. You took it out to bring back in the melody to make sure everything continues to matter. It's subtle. I notice these things because I've just heard so much dance music over the last who knows how many years. But like those little things, at least to me, like I'm not a DJ per se, but like those things are the mark of a very seasoned producer, someone who's probably made the mistake of letting the ride ring out too long or gotten their tracks too busy. And it's you can tell these are definitely people who've refined these sorts of things. So the music is the good part, dude. Now the vocal, I don't want to say, okay, look, if if they trashed it, hopefully they weren't dicks about it, but I do understand what they're saying. Also, as curators, don't forget, like we talked about this last week, how like dance music producers are kind of like B2B in some ways, right? How like they have to appease the DJs themselves, the audience, and also playlisters and curators. So yeah, of course, if you're a curator and you hear this and maybe you don't make music yourself, you're like, oh my God, this fucking vocal sample again. And imagine if you're the DJ, you're like, damn, this track is sick. Oh my God, that vocal again. Like it'd be embarrassing for a DJ to play like, oh, here we go again, this one. And especially within the community, I'm sure a lot of people are like, he got this off Splice. So, my advice to you on this track, would be, James, would be, they got a point that it's overused. Therefore, it's not as original. And it's almost kind of disappointing. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible of like, damn, the music is good. The track is great, but the vocal is something we've heard many times before. So what I would do here is I wouldn't release this version if possible, but maybe present this to a vocalist and be like, here's the vocal that this song was built around. Here's the key that she's singing in. Can we do something original? Can we maybe use this as a reference track? Can we maybe make a chorus that has a similar rhythmic, feel as the I love, maybe something similar, but maybe a little different, of course. But just what can you do to make it your own? Maybe you collab with him or her to create a whole new track that has a different kind of meaning where I love your love and it's not there anymore. But you could present this of like, hey, I built the track around this vocal sample. I don't want to use the sample because everyone has used the sample, but maybe we can do something different. So I would use this as basically the track is like 90% or 85% done, because once the vocals come in, you have to like, change the structure probably a little bit. But I would use this as a template to bring to someone else because you don't want to have the same vocal samples as everyone else. But the music itself, like I said, the hard part is done. So keep that in mind. Impulse here says, one of my biggest worries is someone who knows the DAW too well and nitpicks the sound fonts or samples I use in that way. Yeah, I wouldn't really worry about that. I mean, again, the other producers will recognize. I mean, I can't tell you how many times like I've listened to a piece of music and I'm like, I know exactly that sample they used, but it's because we're in the know. I think a lot of general people won't give a fuck about it. But like I said, if you're going after curators, playlisters, DJs, etc., they have heard these things over and over again, and if they're bored of it, they're not gonna put it on, and those are the kinds of the people that you want to have your music put on too. So keep that in mind. I did have another track I can show you guys. To be honest, I still don't even know what I'm gonna do with this track, and it's one of those. I did it and I really enjoyed it, and I don't have a home for it right now because it doesn't really fit the style of music that Rizik is doing right now. But it's also a track that was a remix of a friend of mine. She released an album and I really dug it. And I've always loved her voice. And there was one song I was like, oh my God, can I just like have the stems to that? And I made something that wasn't exactly it wasn't Rizik. Even though like when did I upload this? Like, okay, so like 2 years ago, I was making all kinds of shit. And I mean, I have an album that I just have not put out, but I put a lot of work into it. I really like the music, but I don't have a home for it. I'm thinking I might just put it out at some point, but check it out. So here's a track I did, and I built a song around her vocals. And I really like it. People seem to really like it too. And I don't know what to do with it. So maybe you guys can tell me what you think of it. It's called My Mind. It's a remix. It's featuring my girl Ala. She's out there in Seattle. And I mean, it kind of sounds like me in that it's epic and like emotional because that's Rizik, but it's also it doesn't sound like me because it's got just listen to it.
You're trying to pick me apart, my bones and my broken heart. I'm lying dead in the dark. Who's gonna find me? It's 12 and they close the park. Nobody here heard us talk. They think I'm laughing with God. Who's gonna find me? Maybe you'll bury me under this tree. I'm not that heavy, just get rid of me, oh please. Cause you won't carry me like I'm not something you need. I'm just your in-between, you really never gave it.
Yo, you guys' comments are hilarious. Yeah. Also, that's not mixed or mastered or anything. I just cranked it out, export, and it's just been sitting there. And I kind of feel disrespectful towards her because I told her I was remixing. I sent this to her. She liked it, and I don't know. Saison says here this could be my new thing, uh, of sorts. And I think so. I think Impulse mentioned that, like, yeah, it kind of becomes her thing. I'm cool with it becoming her own thing. I mean, it is her song after all. I just completely remixed it. She gave me this. She gave me the vocal stems and I think some synths, and that's it. It's all the rest I just kind of made from scratch. But I really enjoy. Again, as someone who doesn't sing, much. I do. I just actually had a little singing session with my band, the Bastard Edmund, over the weekend. We were doing harmonies, and I was like, "Hey, I can actually hit some notes, like high notes. Pretty interesting." But yeah, as someone who's not a singer songwriter per se, it was actually lovely to have something to work around and build something. So, like everyone here, I'm taking my own advice. I'm working with different vocalists. I even have another one I can actually pull up for you guys. I think it's over here somewhere. And again, this one was also made a long time ago. And this singer is in Finland, and I think he's got his own unique spin too on his voice. Let me see. Morning after. Here we go. But like in a weird way, I don't want to go back to this sound. I don't know. You guys tell me actually on this one. Um, You guys tell me, be the A&R right now. Like, does this sound like the same artist, or like, do you sense consistency in these two? And again, I'm not going for consistency per se. I just have this is just what I make. It just comes out like this. I don't really have any control over it. Let me go ahead and pull this one up. This is a little more of a different vibe, but no, again, I'm hesitant to release this one too because I kind of want to get away from this sound. But let me know what you think. Oh,
Sometimes I know you're calling. How could I know I'm falling? I lie awake. My mind is turning. I just can't seem to slow down. How could I see what could have been? When will I reach the morning after? You slip through my fingertips, shine my memories drifting on
so yeah, that one was made like, dude, when the pandemic started, a long time ago, and I haven't put that one out either. Also, for full context, I did also make an instrumental version of it as well. Actually, that's how the song started. as an instrumental, and then I somehow connected with Jordy. He was out in Finland. I don't know how we connected. And he threw some scratch vocals on it. I was like, whoa, that's dope. But yeah, and again, I know it's not for everybody. It's like very sad and sappy kind of stuff. I dig it. I like the harmonies. But my question to you guys is, yeah, like, did you sense consistency? Like, it's the same producer, two different vocalists. What is that like? 2 years apart from each other, both unreleased, both basically ready to go. Ruslan, I love sad music too. I love sad music. I don't know. I feel it's like the cheat code to making me feel something, and that's what I want out of music, frankly. But yeah, kind of curious to know. Again, I appreciate your guys' feedback on it too. I'll try to share some more music with you guys too of my own. I know I have a lot here, so. But I guess the big thing I'm looking for is just more specific feedback on consistency. Just let me know any original thoughts here. I did think I see. Did Saison submit something? I think I saw something come in from Saison. Yeah, what is up with these platforms today? They are slow. Yes, he did. Word up. All right, Jeff Turner. We got something from Jeff Turner coming in. Let me go ahead and pull this up over here. And it's called Idea April. I mean, it's clearly a demo here. And he says, mainly making a bunch of ideas to collaborate with other artists that the team is finding and see what ends up landing interest. Okay, good enough for me. Let's pull up Jeff Turner, Saison. James Shen says, wouldn't have guessed it was the same producer, but both are great songs. Thank you, dude. Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. I think at this point, I think I just got to get these songs out. Almost just only at the very least to stop saying I have music that I've not put out. The very least, and mixed, mastered, paid for, etc. I guess to my own point. I guess the only thing daunting me is like, but I'm gonna have to make videos and do really different things. And I just want to put them out. It's not that simple. All right, let's go ahead and pull up Jeff Turner, Saison. Here we go. It's a demo, but let's see how he's feeling. Out there. I didn't think that was out there. I think that was dope. Hang on, go back right here. And compare that to right here. Is it just... Hang on. Are you using two different kicks? Are you guys hearing this? Or is it... Yeah. Are you using two different kicks? Is this like a secret weapon thing that I'm not really aware of? And the kick is punching through nice here. Yeah, two different kicks for sure. Interesting choice. I guess, yeah, that makes sense, right? Have I done that before? I think I've done that before. But naturally, as a drummer, I'm always I'm not switching kick drums per se. But that's cool. That caught my ear. I think it's dope. I think it's who said it up here. Someone's like total like '90s trance kind of stuff. Absolutely. I mean, lots of intensity. I feel like something like this, just to my ear. This is just my personal taste and preference. I know it's a demo, so obviously you kind of got right to the point. Um, I would love to hear this be more progressive. And as someone who's a big fan of late '90s, early 2000s trance, I mean, I'm a huge fan of that kind of stuff. I always loved how progressive that kind of stuff. In fact, this track kind of reminded me of another track that I don't think any of y'all even heard of. Hopefully, this doesn't get taken down on the YouTube uh, restream. But let's see. Yeah, it's here. Word. Check this one out. I don't think any of you guys know these guys. They're called Benz and MD. This is from, oh my god, what year is this from? Does it say there on the vinyl? Does it say there somewhere? I don't see a year. It was definitely not from 8 years ago. This has got to be like 2001 or 2 or something like that. But like, check out the vibe of this. We're not gonna play the whole thing. But see how like it builds the drums and then takes the drums back away and it reintroduces a new pad idea. It's very progressive. I'm a sucker for this kind of progressive stuff. Also, the kick pattern is pretty unpredictable. I love that shit. It's like constantly introducing new ideas and constantly, not to mention, it makes the track rewarding to listen to over and over again. And this is the introduction of the main theme here. Bassline changes a couple times. Oh, it's 2000s as fuck for sure, but I feel like any era of music, there's always something good to be taken, like especially in today's like fast food EDM scene, like something that just takes its time and breathes and builds. Yeah, I don't know why. Your track reminded me of this one a little bit, only in the sense that like I just wanted more progression from it. I just wanted to hear more. I feel like you got right to it, but you didn't let me earn it. But again, it's a demo. I understand. But I'm just wondering if there's ways to introduce new ideas. I'll put a link to this track in the chat for you, Jeff, if you want to, I don't know, I guess study it per se. It is a dated track in that regard, but I mean, look, everything is cyclical. Things come back around. Maybe in 10 years from now, we're going to look back at this era of like, oh, that was the golden era. That was good stuff. You know how this stuff goes. Ruslan here says, this was how I write songs a lot of the time, and used to get comments like, it felt like that wasn't one track, but I was going for progression ideas. Yeah, me too. I used to get that kind of stuff all the time. In fact, that album that I have not released yet, that I told you about, there are, before that track, the one I did with Allah, there's 2 other songs that actually was one song. It was one like long ass song, and I was like, I need to make this 2 songs. So I actually separated it. But I separated it, but it was one of those that like the track ends and then the next one starts. You don't even realize it, kind of thing. But I do the same thing, dude. I've always been, I wouldn't really call it guilty. But yeah, I used to do the same thing. Speaking of Impulse, I think we have one from him too. Let's pull this up here, and it'll be our last track of the day. Impulse indeed submitted. Let me go ahead and pull up the stream. It's called Titan. There she is. Yeah. Accept your cookies. All right. He says here, it's like the weirdest rap you've ever heard about it. If E.T. was also the biggest it person on earth and was bragging about it. Also, you'll never be him, so stop trying. Just stop. It's a rap battle between a Canadian goose and a beagle while you're tripping on DMT. I just gotta fucking play this.
Check it. I was about to via a meteor, and I bring you plenty of space tidings. Allow me to speak to all of your leaders so forevermore. They may bask in the truth of my findings. I've been around the edges of this galaxy so many times before, and in all of my travels and sightings, I've never really encountered a species or planet quite like yours. And the prospect of this is so exciting. Well, I figure I'd move away from all these platitudes. Gotta tell you, I'm getting sick of all your attitudes. I sympathize with synthesizers just to digitize environments while all of you keep surrounding yourselves with attitude. Feeling the pressure of the world, but that's how diamonds grow. Topple a statue and watch them line up 5 more in a row. It's time to face facts. You can't relax your guard around a titan like me. It excites me to watch you collapse like dominoes. The way you feel, the path you know, fading light that seems to glow. We think we own the sun and moon, and we can't die. Well, the end comes soon. So bent on seeing this world in a lens that's so surprising. Time is just a stagnant pool of water, never making motion, but you act like it's oceans describing. As if it just takes simple moves from lunar daughters to ensure the purest waters keep the tides on rising. Finding out that hyperbolic descriptions are just the start of the visions you think are so enticing. Well, you get what you deserve, right? Thought you suckers heard, right? Fuck around with fate and get the hate that makes the hurt, right? No immunity to any new disease that seeps into the roots and makes you sleep until your motherfucking dendrites. Bend right over and forget just how to fend. Fight all the preconceptions that you turn into your friends. Lying to yourself, thinking that you know what's in store. As soon as you get your fill, you keep on asking for more. You keep on asking for more. The way you feel, as you know, fading light, it seems to glow. We think we own the sun and moon, and we can't die. Well, the end comes soon. The way you feel, the path you know, fading light now seems to grow. We think we own the sun in bloom, that when we rise, the rest of time resumes. With a weapon on a bang though, didn't you know it takes 8 billion to tango? Figurehead speaking to the masses like a stank though. Stick to high heaven, I'm pledging what I sang though. Got 'em lined up where I want 'em though. Nomad is an island, fuck it, I'm an archipelago. Figure of speech, watch me preach what I don't know. Sink to the bottom of this undertow. Let's go. Let's go. just prove me wrong if you want to try. But we all know you'll just continue on like every other day. Happy with the status quo, happy with the way they play. Otherwise you'd get up off your ass and change the world today. Happy with the fight you lost, happy with the colder day, happy with the system that devours us as we run away. Like you could ever be a titan like me, a titan like me. Like you could ever truly be a titan like me. Just wait and see.
Cool. I kind of like the fact that the Titan reveal wasn't like dominated throughout, and especially towards the end. I initially thought this was going to be about like Titan, the moon of Saturn, per se. But it's an interesting concept, and this is what kind of goes. We're bringing this whole stream full circle now of what I discussed earlier of how maybe you shouldn't limit yourself just to audio if you have something to say. Obviously, Ruslan, you have something to say. Um, what I want to bring up though is what an interesting concept of an alien or an extraterrestrial coming to Earth and absorbing some of humanity's worst qualities, right? The hubris that you kind of talked about. It feels like almost like, oh, what a tragedy. This extraterrestrial with so much potential to absorb and learn, and we can learn from, we just reduced to being one of us. Like, what a bummer, you know? And I feel like there's so much stuff that we could do with that from like, I mean, that sounds like a movie potentially, or just like, what are you trying to say as a result of that? Like, it's almost like what we do to ourselves is a cancer that extends into even other beings. You know, that this grounded of this earth, not mindful at all bullshit that we've plunged ourselves into. No one is immune, not even an extraterrestrial, not even people who come from other worlds to ours. It's almost like the poison is so pronounced and the well is so deep that nothing can escape. Like we are our own black hole of bullshit. Ooh, impulse. There's one for you. Run with that. I mean, I feel like if you made an album on just that concept or even a series of videos on just that concept alone, that's highly, highly interesting because it's relevant, it's timely, it's not so direct. There's still some metaphor in there, hence the depth. Um, Something you might want to think about, dude. He says his original thought spawned this EP. It feels like the elites who are running this thing to the ground are so inhumane that they could only be alien to us. That's also very fucking cool too. I mean, it's the whole lizard people thing, right? We don't need to get into those conspiracies, but in fact, I've always thought the whole like, you know, the elites are lizard people was more of a metaphor. I never took it seriously, but more like, yeah, at this point their brains are so warped that their lizard brains have taken over, you know. So that's what I always thought about that in that regard. But I definitely see some depth here, dude. And again, like kind of what I was saying that I'm struggling with too. Like get this out, but do it in a way that really expresses the full totality of what you're trying to say. You know, because this is cool, it's entertaining, but it's so much more. And I'd encourage you to find ways to get it out in a better way. That's not just audio. But I dig it. I dig you guys coming through. I want to thank the usual heads for coming through. Impulse Shenanigans, thank you as always for your financial support too. Shout out to James Shen for always dropping me a few bucks on the stream. If you want to do the same thing, go ahead and scan that QR code. If not, please just tell a friend. It is the usual suspects around the stream, but hey, I'm cool with that too. But again, I'd really love to meet some new friends of yours too. Oliver Blue, thank you for joining me. As always, James Shen, Jeff Turner, I appreciate you all coming through. As always, we will be back next Monday for another episode. Submit your music, submit your ideas, come through. Let me know if you guys have any questions on anything specific. I'm always here to help and make your guys' stuff come to fruition a little bit better. Dan Dobie, the lurker, as always, in the building too. What up, Dan Dobie? But yeah, we will catch you guys here, same place, same time next week. In the meantime, happy music making. Really good stuff today, you guys. Every song I heard today was banging. And I'll catch you all next week. Till then, have a safe and fun week ahead.